Today we are going to travel through the state of Connecticut. Connecticut was one of the 13 colonies and became the fifth state on January the 9th, 1788. You might be wondering, where is Connecticut? Connecticut is located in the northeastern United States. Connecticut is bordered on the south by Long Island Sound and the Atlantic Ocean, on the west by New York, on the north by Massachusetts, and on the east by Rhode Island. Fun facts: did you know? In order for a pickle to officially be considered a pickle in Connecticut, it must bounce. Connecticut's state insect is the praying mantis. In 1901, Connecticut passed the first ever automobile law. The speed limit was set at 12 miles per hour. Dinosaur tracks were discovered in Rocky Hill, Connecticut in 1966. Groton, Connecticut is also known as the submarine capital of the world and is home to the official Submarine Museum of the United States Navy. Currently, there are more than 140 different newspapers published in Connecticut. The New Haven District Telephone Company published the first ever telephone book in New Haven in February 1878. It contained 15 contacts. The first lollipop making machine was invented in New Haven, Connecticut in 1908. George Smith named the candy after a popular racehorse. Connecticut was covered by a glacier as recently as 15,000 years ago, making its landscape very young compared to the rest of the world. The first ever helicopter was built in Connecticut in 1939. The first color television in 1948. Walking on your hands is really cool. Just make sure you don't do it while crossing the streets if you're in Hartford, Connecticut, because it's illegal. With the help of our trusty travel guide, we have mapped out an itinerary of the things we wanted to do in Connecticut. The first stop was to the state capitol that is located in Hartford, Connecticut. Check out their state flag. The state was established on January the 9th, 1788. That was 236 years ago. Woo! That was a long time ago. While we were at the state capitol, we saw the state seal and also read their state motto, which says, Qui transulat sustinet, which is a Latin phrase which means, he who transplanted sustained. Next, we looked at the state coat of arms and the state tartan. Nice colors. We also saw the state song on display. The state song is Yankee Doodle. My sister read the lyrics to us. Yankee Doodle went to town riding on a pony, stuck a feather in his hat and called it macaroni. The chorus of Yankee Doodle is Yankee Doodle, keep it up, Yankee Doodle dandy. Mind the music and the step, and with the folks be handy. What a catchy tune! While walking through the Capitol building, we found out that their state nickname is the Constitution State. We also found out that the state's origin came from the Algonquian word which means beside the long tidal river. Many states' names evolved from Native American languages. After we left the Capitol building, Dad stopped at a local bank and got us each Connecticut State quarter. I'm going to add mine to my collection. Next on our itinerary was to visit the state landmarks. Mom read to us from the travel guide about the list of Troubadour of Connecticut. The state troubadour is an ambassador of music and song, encouraging cultural literacy and promoting the state of Connecticut. Mom then read to us about the state cantata, which is the nutmeg. The nutmeg cantata is 9 minutes in length and relates to Connecticut's history, including the names of Native American tribes through song. It begins with the following lines. Beautiful hills and valleys, flatlands were called plains, rivers and lakes, the soft-flowing streams off to the south, the ocean. Connecticut was a peaceful place back in its early beginning. Mom also explained that the state honors some special people, including state composer Charles Edward Ives and poet laureate Antoinette Brim Bell. Mom also read to us that the state has two kinds of dances. The state dance is the square dance, and the polka dance, which is the polka ballroom dance. Dad then announced that he would be taking us to see some state landmarks. The first one was the state ship, which is the USS Nautilus SSN-571, located at the Submarine Force Library and Museum in Groton, Connecticut. While we were at the ocean, we saw an exhibit about the state seashell, the eastern oyster. We later visited the Maritime Aquarium at Hartford, Connecticut, and learned about the state fish, the American shad. We also learned that the state mammal and animal is the sperm whale. The sperm whale is an endangered animal and is now on federal endangered list. The sperm whale was immortalized in Herman Melville's story, Moby Dick. Next, we visited the state flagship, the Freedom Schooner Amistad, located at Mystic Seaport. Our next stop was to the Connecticut Air and Space Center, located in Stratford, Connecticut. While we were there, we saw the state aircraft, the Corsair F-4U. The F-4U Corsair was one of the best fighter-bomber aircrafts during World War II and the Korean War. I really want to fly one of those planes one day. The next day, our itinerary included more state landmarks. The first one we visited was to Mark Twain's house and museum located in Hartford, Connecticut. It was such an interesting place. After we left there, we visited the Prudence Crandall boarding school for females. The boarding school also created the first academy for African American ladies in 1833. We learned that Prudence Crandall was a state heroine because of her devotion to helping educate African American ladies from around the United States in her academy. Later that day, we also visited the Nathan Hale Homestead located in Coventry, Connecticut. We also learned that Nathan Hale was a state hero. He was a captain in the Continental Army, and he had volunteered to spy on the British during the American Revolution. In 1776, at the age of 21, he was hanged without a trial by the British. The young patriot's immortal last words are etched at the base of a statue at Yale University in New Haven, Connecticut, and also a replica in Washington, D.C. that says, "I only regret that I have but one life to lose for my country." We next stopped to read the state historic landmark about the town of Pomfret. The town has a lot of rich history, and we learned a lot by exploring the town. We saved the last state landmark for the next day. We visited the Ware Farm National Historic Park. The farm is an artist's retreat of American Impressionist pioneer Julian Alden Ware, who lived from 1852 to 1919. The farm is preserved as the Ware Farm National Historic Site in Wilton, Connecticut. What a beautiful place with lots of things to explore. Later that day, we stopped at the Bolton Notch State Park and had a picnic lunch. While we were there, we saw the state insect, the European praying mantis. What a fascinating insect! Did you know that they are beneficial for farmers and a symbol for the importance of natural environment? But they're kind of creepy because the females eat their husbands. After our picnic, we went hiking in the park and saw the state bird, the American robin. Mom read in our travel book that the state flower is the mountain laurel, and we saw plenty of it in the park. We also sat under the state tree for our picnic, the charter oak, which is also known as the white oak. When we left the park, Dad took us to the Connecticut Valley Agricultural Museum in Windsor, Connecticut, where we learned about the different kinds of crops raised, especially tobacco farming and the state soil, Windsor sandy loam. While we were at the Ag Museum, we learned that the state mineral is the almandine garnet. which is a reddish-colored rock or stone. Our final stop before heading home was to the Dinosaur State Park in Rocky Hill, Connecticut. We learned that the state dinosaur is the Dilophosaurus. We also got to see the state fossil, the Eubrontes giganteus dinosaur tracks. The park was an amazing adventure, and we were thrilled to learn about dinosaurs and see their fossil tracks up close. We had a great time on our trip to Connecticut and plan to come again one day. If you get a chance to visit Connecticut, I hope you'll do so. They are a great state with a lot to offer. Until then, goodbye! Thank you for learning with me today. If you like this video, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. And we hope you'll join us again soon for another lesson on Wonder of Learning. Until then, bye-bye!